Vote counting in the presidential race enters a fourth day. We'll have the latest from the key battleground states. Plus, a pedestrian dies overnight on I-44 in Joplin, and details on an arrest in the case of a missing Joplin girl.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the Kansas City Chiefs gear up for a game this weekend against the Carolina Panthers. We'll hear from the team. And the razor-close election has got many Americans feeling stressed. And what better way to ease your nerves than with junk food? For our Something to Talk About, we're asking what your stress-eating food of choice is. This could get dangerous. And you could also participate in our Insta poll. Just visit KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Chicken parm and spaghetti.
Man, that sounds good.
Yeah. I wasn't stressed out. I was craving chicken parm and spaghetti last night. Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin, 54 degrees is where we stand. Look at that humidity, 93%. And we'll get to that in just a little second. 46 in Miami, 53 in Lamar, 54 in Chanute. So very mild temperatures. Here's the key factor for this morning. Because of that increased humidity, we have a little bit of a fog issue on our hands, especially when you move out in the western edge of southeast Kansas, less than a mile in Independence and Sedan. And those numbers that we see in the central portion, CJ, Carthage, Girard, those numbers are going to dip throughout the course of our morning. Now you get above the fog layer, not looking too bad. As a matter of fact, still a quiet Midwest. We are seeing that low pressure system up in the Pacific Northwest begin to have a little southeastern movement, but it won't affect us for today. It won't affect us for the next several days, as a matter of fact. Back into the mid 70s later on this afternoon. A little bit cloud cover wants to emerge, but still going to be sunny and warm. As we move into the weekend, 70s remain, still looking at Monday night into Tuesday. Yep. That Monday night into Tuesday overnight low of 63, same as the Tuesday high of 63. That means a big cold front's going to drop us 20 degrees during the course of Tuesday. A little rebound there middle of next week, but still, that's our next weather talker.
All right. Got a couple more days before it hits us. Just
Tuesday's going to be one of
enjoy it.
those where you and I show up in shorts and a t-shirt. Before we get dry, I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah, that's what I show up in. I'm not afraid to say it. And better have the sweatpants ready when we leave work.
Yeah. Just get colder throughout the day. Pack that jacket for the kids for sure. Or heavy coat. All right, thanks, Michael. According to the Georgia Secretary of State's office, former Vice President Joe Biden currently has more votes there than President Trump. Officials have been counting ballots nonstop overnight, and Biden overtook the president early this morning. But there are still some votes to be counted, as well as in a handful of other states that will decide the election: Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada. Laura Podesta is following the story from Washington, D.C.
Democracy is sometimes messy.
After 4 days of counting ballots, former Vice President Joe Biden has overtaken President Trump in the state of Georgia.
We have no doubt that when the count is finished, Senator Harris and I will be declared the winners.
Votes are still being counted in Georgia and elsewhere. On Thursday, the former vice president urged patience.
The process is working. The count is being completed, and we'll know very soon.
President Trump had large leads on election night in a handful of states, but those began to disappear once the tally of mail-in ballots began.
It's amazing how those mail-in ballots are so one-sided.
At the White House, Mr. Trump made a number of false claims and attacked the integrity of the election.
And this is a case where they're trying to steal an election. They're trying to rig an election.
The Trump campaign has filed lawsuits in several states trying to halt the process. But election officials around the country say they've seen no evidence of voter fraud.
The strength of the integrity of this vote is really unparalleled.
Trump supporters gathered at vote counting centers around the country and repeated the president's false accusations.
They shut down the counting of the voting because they knew Trump was winning.
Some officials say they're concerned for their safety.
I can tell you that my wife and my mother are very concerned for me, but we have security here.
A senior administration official tells CBS News the president may not concede the election if Biden declares victory. Laura Podesta, CBS News, Washington.
Now, if Biden becomes the projected winner in Pennsylvania, he will have reached 270 electoral college votes. If he wins Georgia, it moves him to a projected 269, meaning the president would need to win all the remaining states to tie him. New this morning, a pedestrian is dead after being hit by a semi in Joplin overnight. According to police, it happened on I-44 a little before midnight. The semi hit the person in the eastbound lane near exit 6. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene. There's no word yet on the person's identity or how the wreck happened. Newton County Sheriff's Office is investigating, and they're expected to release more information later today. Newly reported coronavirus cases and hospitalization reach record one-day highs in Oklahoma. Yesterday, the Oklahoma State Department of Health reported 2,101 new cases and 1,055 hospitalizations. The spike in cases has pushed Oklahoma City area hospitals into Tier 3 of its COVID-19 surge plan, which means hospitals there will request a catastrophic health emergency. The White House Coronavirus Task Force is calling on the state to test more people without symptoms to prevent further spread. Missouri customers of Spire Natural Gas Company who've struggled to keep up with bills during this pandemic have a couple of new payment options. Spire is offering up to $400 in assistance for customers who've lost jobs or income and have an outstanding balance on their account. Spire will begin accepting applications for the program on Monday. Also, in addition to its existing 12-month payment plan option, Spire now offers an 18-month plan for customers impacted by the pandemic. Customers can enroll by paying 10% of their past due balance. You can find more information on the Spire programs at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, police in Wisconsin make an arrest in connection with the Joplin missing persons case. Police in the city of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, say they've arrested a 19-year-old man in connection to the Leora Hardy case. 14-year-old Hardy had been missing since September 17th. They say the 19-year-old man traveled to Joplin in September to pick up Hardy and then drove back to Wisconsin. Charges against the 19-year-old could be filed soon. Hardy was brought back to Joplin and reunited with her family on Tuesday. The Joplin chapter of the RISE Coalition paid for her plane ticket back.
We had been part of assisting the police department to get them fed while they were doing the incredible search that they did for that missing person at that point in time. And so obviously that collaboration, we were alerted to the fact that she had been found and were able in that instance to say, hey, is this a way that we could assist?
Joplin police would not comment on the arrest. Police in Wisconsin say the 19-year-old could be charged soon. He's being held in the Wakusu County Jail. Licensed child care providers in Kansas can apply for new grant money. Funds can be used for supplies or to make adaptations to home or center-based facilities. The state is expecting to provide a total of $3.5 million in grant money. The Joplin Park officially has a new feature that'll allow kids and families to stretch their legs and their minds. The beneficiaries of that feature helped unveil it yesterday with a ribbon cutting. It's a new story walk at Leonard Park. It features pages of a storybook along a walking path.
And something like this just brings people to your parks one more time. Kids will be coming through here all the time. I can't wait to team up again, and because we do have some other parks that we can do similar projects like this.
The project was spearheaded by One Joplin. It's 5:07.
We'll call sunrise 6:47 on this Friday morning. Going to be absolutely gorgeous once again. Temperatures up into the mid-70s. Fog early. Burn that thing off and we'll be fine after that. It's not going to linger too long, but that means a little bit more moisture. Not necessarily a bad thing, especially since we've been fighting such a dry air mass for the past several days. Absolutely delightful till we really pick up changes from Sunday through Tuesday.
That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Pitt State Gorillas are getting ready for their second game of the season as they look to bounce back from a loss. We'll have a preview. Plus, how people are using food to deal with uncertainty in the election. And we'll hear from a local mental health expert on dealing with post-election grief. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh State Gorillas play their first road game of the season this weekend on Saturday, traveling up to St. Joe to face Missouri Western as PSU aims for its first win of the year. Our own sports director, Jacob Leonard, with a preview.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas finally have some game film to look at.
It allows you to identify the things that certainly got exposed on Saturday. Allows us to really regroup.
Pitt State dropped its fall opener 31-26 to Nebraska Kearney on Saturday.
In that football game against Kearney, you have to be very assignment sound defensively to be able to stop the run game that they presented.
You know, obviously it hurts losing any game, especially one like that. But I think some positives that we took away was just our fight. We showed a lot of grit out there.
On the positive side, quarterback Max Sexton threw for 398 yards and 3 touchdowns in his first game in head coach Brian Wright's new offense.
We knew he was going to bring in some creativity, and I love it. I'm excited to learn every day from him.
I got to learn quickly, how he picked up the offense and that this was going to fit his style. And then we saw a couple practices in spring and probably didn't know a bunch then. But once we really got into preseason this September, I knew that he was going to be able to read the coverages how we want him to read them and be able to get the ball out in a timely manner like we like.
Now, the Gorillas take what they learned this weekend to St. Joe, aiming to pick up their first win against MIAA rival Missouri Western.
Really impressed with Missouri Western. I'm impressed with their athletic ability, how well they run on offense and defense and in their kicking game. They have a dangerous returner. They got a great receiver. Their secondary is very athletic, and they're just athletic and physical as an entire football team. Very impressed with them.
Pitt State's game against Missouri Western begins at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. In the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs remain at home this weekend, hosting the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Chiefs 7-1 right now after blowing out the Jets last weekend. KC has a chance at its 4th straight win as the Panthers are 3-5. But Panthers did get some good news this week. After missing the last 6 weeks, All-Pro running back Christian McCaffrey on track to return Sunday, just in time to face the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that can do it all. I mean, he can catch the ball just as well as he runs the ball, and he runs the ball well. So he's someone that is a mismatch for defenses. He can run the ball between the tackles. He can have speed to beat to win on the outside, and he can run routes just like a receiver. So a talented guy, and I'm excited to get to watch him play.
Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the latest on the aftermath of Hurricane Eta after it slams into Central America and now makes its way toward Cuba and then the southern coast of Florida. And to check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Just rolled past 5:17 on this Friday morning. Going to have to fight the fog. These numbers are going to decrease as we progress through our morning till about 7, 8 a.m. So even though it doesn't look too bad, visibility as far as miles go, know that it's going to get thicker and it's going to get worse. Not talking the pea soup variety. Don't have any dense fog advisories, but give yourself extra time. Make sure you got your headlights. Low beams, please. 54 degrees from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. The fog indicative of that humidity sitting right now at 93%, some of the highest readings that we've had all week. But, a little dampness, not a bad thing because we've been dangerously dry for the most part. Whole bunch of low to mid 50s on the bus stop forecast. We'll go clear skies after we get rid of the fog. Sunrise at 6:47 over Joplin. A sunny start with a little southerly breeze. Don't have to worry about any cloud cover until this afternoon. And once again, Midwest remains dry. Going to be up into the mid 70s. Abnormally warm once again. Should be around 64 degrees. We're going to cruise past that. Key factor for the weekend into next week is going to be from Monday into Tuesday. Late night thunderstorm development carries us into Tuesday morning. Cold front on Tuesday is going to drop us about 20 degrees, and then we'll rebound on Wednesday for Veterans Day, and then Thursday back into the 70s. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page. Uncertainty stresses people out. With future occupant of the White House in question, many people are coping with the stress by eating. Jeannie Mose looks at some of the oddest concoctions people out there have been consuming.
When it comes to a candidate's lead,
it has been shrinking.
But you know what's not shrinking? Most of us. We are shoving, we are shoveling, and we are guzzling. Just one glass. Forget
votes that have not been counted.
Think of all the calories that have not been counted. People are proudly posting examples of their stress eating, from pie to pumpkin seeds to chocolate pastries to glistening meat. Folks are stress eating eggs at midnight. I don't care that it's ugly. It is a stress eating dream come frickin' true. Odd combinations abound. Tequila and sugar cookies? I combine stress eating and stress drinking into a wine float. Google says fries near me and liquor store near me are at all-time highs in search. Talk about winners and losers. In this house, the election was between cheddar, caramel, and butter. Butter won. But in this case, you can eat the runners-up. Celebrities are stressed like us. Take Chrissy Teigen.
Stress cooking, everything's fine, everything's fine.
Ryan Seacrest posted himself eating onion pizzas while Cardi B preferred to puff. Even Luca, the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, overate this fish-shaped oven mitt and had to go to the vet ER where they induced him to barf up 3 inches of cloth. Talk about returns.
My stress eating has gone from brownies to ice cream to just pouring raw cake mix down my throat.
One person posted, I'm on track to consume 10,000 calories in 36 hours. Is this normal? The Tina Fey cake-eating gif was a favorite. Take it out on the cake instead of your political nemesis.
Yell it into the cake.
The person who posted this photo suggested if you put the chocolates directly on the pizza, it saves a lot of time. It takes more than a fortune cookie to predict the future of the election, but with all the stress eating, I may reach 270 before either of the candidates.
Calm down, and then you start to feel powerless, and that is when you need to dip a grilled cheese into the cake.
It's Friday, let's have some fun. The question, what's your stress-eating food of choice? Facebook and our Insta poll, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. It's probably no coincidence Health Watch is next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the outcome of the presidential election is still uncertain and could cause stress or even grief for some. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with an expert on ways to cope with the issues.
Nathan Honeycutt with the Ozark Center's New Directions facility says it's not unusual to experience stress or even grieve if your candidate loses the election.
There's always been fallout with a candidate that you wanted to win not winning.
Daniel Farage says it's not necessarily stress that's bothering him with this election.
So I wouldn't say it's stressful. It's just kind of annoying. It's kind of like, okay, can we just get on with this? We want to know. Americans want to move forward, and that kind of more of an annoyance for me than it is stress.
Farage says he's hopeful his candidate will win, but regardless of the outcome, he focuses on his studies, his family, and his faith to get through.
My faith is really what's got me through in moments of strife and tribulation. And I know at the end of the day, no matter who the president is, or if there is no president, it doesn't change that you can't change that. And that's something that really helps me too.
Honeycutt has some advice as well on how to cope with whatever the outcome of the election is or however long the counting process takes.
Remember, take a deep breath. We can control ourselves. We can't control other people or other things or other outcomes. It is what it is. It will be what it is. And my world becomes more about accepting what is than trying to alter or change what is.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Honeycutt says it's also good to vent on occasion, and he suggests finding a group of like-minded friends or family who allow you to express your concerns freely. Well, wearing a mask does not impact exercise performance and blood and muscle oxygen levels. That's according to Canadian researchers who looked at 14 healthy active men and women who wore a 3-layer cloth mask while working out. New CDC research suggests more people need to be aware of the signs and symptoms of stroke. Only about 2/3 of adults recognize the 5 warning signs and need to call 911 immediately. Symptoms include sudden numbness or weakness of the face, arm or leg, especially on one side, confusion or trouble speaking, trouble seeing, trouble walking, dizziness or loss of balance, and severe headache. Well, people who suffer strokes while they have COVID-19 may be more likely to have greater disability. London researchers also found COVID patients who have a stroke also have a higher death rate. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Going to be sunny early and another warm November day. Back into the 70s and little south breeze. The nice thing is we've actually picked up a little humidity, so it's not dangerously dry. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Vote counting in the presidential race enters a fourth day. We'll have the latest from the key battleground states. Plus, a pedestrian dies overnight on I-44 in Joplin, and details on an arrest in the case of a missing Joplin girl.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, our morning talker today is about stress eating. Let us know what you chow down on when you're feeling stressed. You can also participate in our Insta poll. Just visit KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. First, a check on your forecast.
All right, 7-day forecast has us sitting in the 70s all weekend long, I should say. I really want to pay attention to Monday into Tuesday and get that out of the way right now because everybody's been pining for a little rain after how dry it's been. Well, we're going to get thunderstorm activity, and the nice thing is right now for the month of November, our precipitation is at nil. So it's going to be needed. Before we get there, look at our humidity numbers from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera. Not dangerously dry this morning, sitting at 93%, really only dropping down to about 60 to 55% this afternoon, so that's really a positive. One thing we do have to get rid of, the fog, and that's indicative of the humidity being a whole lot more increase than what we've had past couple of days. Our visibility now dropping below a mile in Girard, down below 5 miles in CJ. We know CJ is good, it's going to continue to drop there. Parsons down below 2 miles. Be very careful, especially along Highway 400. Now, after we burn off the fog, sunrise at 6:47 over Joplin, sunny skies, and then a little south breeze and temperatures back into the mid-70s.
All right.
Be delightful Friday. Just be careful out there at the fog. It's been a while since we've had to put up with it because we've been so dry, and so it is kind of a quick 180 experience that we've had this morning.
And it's kind of that fog where you're driving along and it's just fine, then all of a sudden it hits
Whoa!
you.
Yeah. You run through a patch of it, just like that.
So you never know if, like, up ahead there's that foggy patch where there's a vehicle you can't see.
Right, don't try to pass anybody this morning. That's why I always say give yourself extra time. Don't plan on passing anybody on the highways because, like Tanya said, it'll almost hit you like a wall.
That's right. Yeah, be careful out there for sure. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, Americans are still waiting to learn the winner of the presidential election. Ballot counting continues in several key states. Margins in Arizona and Nevada remain razor thin, while President Trump's lead in Pennsylvania has been slipping. And just this morning, Joe Biden took the lead in Georgia, but the vote count is incredibly close. In his first address since the election night, the president again made claims about mail-in ballots and alleged voter fraud without giving evidence. Democratic challenger Joe Biden called for every vote to be counted and expressed continued confidence he would win. New this morning, a pedestrian is dead after being hit by a semi in Joplin overnight. According to police, it happened on I-44 a little before midnight. The semi hit the person in the eastbound lane near exit 6. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene. There's no word yet on the person's identity or how the wreck happened. Newton County Sheriff's Office is investigating, and they're expected to release more information later today. Police in Wisconsin make an arrest in connection with the Joplin missing persons case. Police in the city of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, say they've arrested a 19-year-old man in connection to the Leora Hardy case. 14-year-old Hardy had been missing since September 17th. They say the 19-year-old man traveled to Joplin in September to pick up Hardy and then drove back to Wisconsin. Charges against the 19-year-old could be filed soon. Hardy was brought back to Joplin and reunited with her family on Tuesday. The Joplin chapter of the RISE Coalition paid for her plane ticket back. The mother of a Springfield, Missouri man killed by a federal agent this week is speaking out. 25-year-old Caleb Slay died in his front yard Monday after a drug enforcement officer shot him. His mother says her son was a victim and his death was senseless. Nikki Ogle reports.
My son was in his front yard minding his own business, and this didn't have to happen.
Tina Richardson sits where her son, Caleb Slay, took his last breath Monday night.
His pool of blood was a perfect heart on the ground, an absolute perfect heart. You couldn't have drawn it any better.
So the family covered it up with dirt while their own hearts were breaking in hopes of keeping it safe as long as they can.
My son Caleb is the most kind and generous person you will ever meet. He loved to make you laugh. He loved to be the shoulder for you to cry on.
Richardson says Caleb played varsity football at Kickapoo High School and was a cheerleader for Missouri State University. She says he worked security at Zan nightclub for 7 years and at one point considered becoming a police officer.
Caleb was not a criminal. Caleb was a law-abiding citizen.
She says what police say happened Monday tells a different story. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, special agents were conducting surveillance. They approached an individual who they believed was committing a crime. During the conversation between the agents and that person, the DEA says a second person, later identified as Caleb Slay, approached the agents. They say a fight started and Caleb was shot.
What I want everyone to understand is he is a victim. He is not a suspect.
Richardson says she knows the truth and is prepared to fight for justice. The family has hired attorneys who focus on personal injury and wrongful death lawsuits.
I would love to tell everybody what really happened. I would love to tell you the details, but unfortunately, in order to get justice for Caleb, I cannot tell anything.
Until that day comes, this mother's message to her son is simple.
I will be your voice. We got you. Go rest. It's okay.
Vigil for Slay will be held Saturday afternoon. Springfield police are investigating the shooting. Anyone with information is asked to call Springfield Police or Crime Stoppers. Every year before Memorial Day and Veterans Day, Bill Muse, the owner of the Muse Masonry, installs new pavers honoring 4 state veterans at the memorial on the PSU campus. This year, of course, is no different, except for one thing. This year, Muse, a U.S. Army veteran, installed a paver bearing his own name. He also installed 3 others for a World War I veteran, a World War II veteran, and a veteran who served in the 80s. He seems to be most proud of those and the others.
Guys that come down here and they'll all but have tears in their eyes when they'll find theirs, or they'll see one of their buddies, and they always have a story to go with it. So, yeah, it makes you feel good that they're back here to look at it and see they'll be here forever.
We thank him for doing that. Veterans Day is next Wednesday, the 11th. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, we hear about an upcoming event where you can pitch in to help the Southeast Kansas Humane Society. Plus, a new strain of coronavirus is found in minks. How the Danish government is trying to limit the spread to humans. But first, it's 5:37.
Such a great story there, because Bill is such a humble man with so much humility that it was really neat to find out that he's got his own paver. That's tremendous. Highs in the mid-70s, sunny skies to start with. Got to burn off some early morning fog. Cruising into the weekend in the 70s. Cold front. But that's not until Monday night into Tuesday. World Watch is next.
Topping World Watch, Hurricane Eta causes massive damage in Nicaragua. Folks assess the remaining destruction on Thursday. This after the Category 4 storm first slammed into the Latin American country on Tuesday. Downpours and winds reaching speeds of at least 150 miles per hour leveled homes and flooded roads. Locals are now left to pick up the pieces, working together to clean the mess and salvage what is left of their homes with little to no help from their government. Eta is expected to continue on its path, now as a tropical storm, potentially making its way to Cuba, the Cayman Islands, and southern Florida over the next few days. Well, Denmark's prime minister announces plans to selectively slaughter 15 million mink on Danish farms as a way to reduce the risk of the animals retransmitting the coronavirus to humans. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said Thursday, despite attempts to limit the spread of infection, coronavirus has been found on more than 200 Danish mink farms. She says the virus mutates in the mink and the new strain has already started spreading to the human population. Fredrickson said there is a risk the mutation might affect the effectiveness of any vaccines in development, which she says would be very, very serious. Well, a thick cloud of smoke filled the air in front of Mexico's Senate as pot-smoking protesters descended onto the government building Wednesday. Folks want the country to legalize weed and are angry at lawmakers' inaction on the subject. Senators were supposed to discuss the possibilities of a bill legalizing marijuana, but have not advanced the issue. Members of the protests say legalizing cannabis will help the country by interrupting drug lords' profits. Critics suggest recreational marijuana goes against ideals in Mexico's constitution. Well, technology gives an acclaimed Brazilian pianist the chance to make music again. These bionic gloves allow João Carlos Martins to return to the piano. Martins had lost the use of his right hand after a mugging in 1995, but the gloves allow Martins to play with all 10 fingers. And the gloves contain rods that make the fingers spring back into place. Amazing. Injuries Martin received had ended his career, and now at the age of 80, Martin says the ability to use all 10 fingers is a miracle. That is amazing. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
KOM News Now Facebook page with Cookie Monster behind me and our Insta poll for this morning. Hey, we still don't know who's in the White House, so we're asking what stress food you're eating. We'll begin with Dave Pitts. Dave Pitts says, breakfast tacos and anything I can put in a tortilla. Dave asking, have you ever tried a PB&J burrito style? I have indeed. And cookies, Dave says, lots of cookies. I was waiting to see how Guy was going to do with this. He's got a picture of President Trump and the water bottle, at the label, it reads liberal tears. I don't care what side of the aisle. That was well played, Guy. I was waiting to see what you're going to do. Michelle Pacini says, best kind is whatever someone else is cooking. Call it whatever you like. Just don't call me late for dinner. Morning, everyone. Morning, Michelle. And love you, Mama. Shelley Wells says, favorite comfort foods? Anything in my fridge. Everything in my fridge. Anything I can find. Kitty Kimmel says, Mexican food, probably the closest to a stress food. Ann says, yeah, Dave, we're on board. We know that PB&J. All right, on the KOAM Insta poll this morning, we gave you about 18 different options here. Something sweet, running away with it at 60%. I want to know, those of you who are saying something else at 11%, I don't know, maybe that's something sour. I don't know. You can write in, I guess. I don't know. We're just having fun. It's Friday. Be back with news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Americans are still waiting to learn the winner of the presidential election. Ballot counting continues in several key states. Margins in Arizona and Nevada remain razor thin, while President Trump's lead in Pennsylvania has been slipping. And just this morning, Joe Biden took the lead in Georgia, but the vote count remains incredibly close. In his first address since the election night, the president again made claims about mail-in ballots and alleged voter fraud without giving evidence. A pedestrian is dead after being hit by a semi in Joplin overnight. According to police, it happened on I-44 a little before midnight. The semi hit the person in the eastbound lane near exit 6. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene. There's no word yet on the person's identity or how the wreck happened. Newton County Sheriff's Office is investigating, and they're expected to release more information later today. Newly reported coronavirus cases and hospitalizations reach a record one-day high in Oklahoma. Yesterday, the Oklahoma State Department of Health reported 2,101 new cases and 1,055 hospitalizations. The spike in cases has pushed Oklahoma City area hospitals into Tier 3 of its COVID-19 surge plan, which means hospitals there will request a catastrophic health emergency. The White House Coronavirus Task Force is calling on the state to test more people without symptoms to prevent further spread. The Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce and Crawford County health officers hosted a Facebook Live Thursday where they addressed COVID-19 concerns among the local business community. County officials made it clear shutting down a local business was the last thing they wanted to do. But they also made it clear they needed all local businesses to play by the pandemic rules. They've received multiple complaints from businesses losing customers to competitors who are not taking COVID-19 regulations seriously. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Wait till this fog burns off and we're in store for a gorgeous, gorgeous Friday. Temperatures up into the mid-70s with plenty of sunshine. We'll get a little thunderstorm activity. That's not until Monday into Tuesday. Be back right after this. Welcome back to the KOM Morning News. And of course, during the course of the pandemic, it's been hard of a number of organizations that rely so much on community support and also community donations. And one of those that we get to feature pretty much every single week, whether the pandemic's going on or not, is the SEK Humane Society. And we're fortunate enough to be joined by Gwen Smalley. Gwen, I want to thank you so much because we're going to talk about an upcoming fundraiser. As a matter of fact, we're going to have it this weekend, and it's a really unique event because you've kind of tailored it to being pandemic safe, if you will. But before we get to the details of it, Gwen, I'd like to ask you, how did you get involved specifically with the SEK Humane Society?
I got involved. I am like a huge animal lover, so I actually have a dog from there, and I just really appreciate the work they do. And so for school, I'm hosting the fundraiser for there because I just really appreciate everything they do, and it's a great organization.
And so you can actually say your dog came from the SEK Humane Society. Kind of walk me through that. How did you find your dog? What's the name and what kind, and what's he or she like?
His name is Uno, and he's a Catahoula Shepherd mix. We saw him they posted a picture of him, and we kind of just went in to like look, not really to get anything. And we just fell in love with him, and we just brought him home. He's a really good dog. He just turned about a year old, and there's a funny story. When we went to see him, he acted like he was hurt, and he was like limping around. And then we went and played with him, and he was just like full of energy. He just wanted our attention to look at it.
Oh, is that him in the background?
Yep.
I tell you what, you can't get better organic television than that right there. Uno, always pining for attention. I absolutely love that story, Gwen. Hey, we've got what's called a drive-through fundraiser coming up. Let's do the particulars of it first because we're going to do it this Saturday from 10 to 3. Number one, if you can tell us exactly where it is, pet lovers are going to know, but if you could tell us where it is and exactly how you put together the list of needs that the SEK Humane Society is looking for.
It's at the Ronald O. Thomas Dog Park in Singer Park. And I got the list of needs from Jasmine Kyle, the director of Humane Society. She said they were really in need for like laundry detergent, bleach, dog toys, kitten and puppy soft food because it's about to be kitten and puppy season. And there was one other thing.
Garden hoses was on that list.
Yes.
Yeah, garden hoses. And while what Gwen was referencing right there, that's the SEK Humane Society Facebook page. And Gwen was kind enough to actually post that entire list of needs because there may be some things on there that, we always associate food, but there's other needs that I know that you became very cognizant of, Gwen, and we're fortunate enough to pass those along to us as well. Now, in the midst of the pandemic, you had to come up with a safe way to organize a fundraiser and still make people feel at ease and the safety aspect of it. So explain to me how this is going to work, the logistics of it, if you will.
So we'll have a booth set up, like a table, and there will be a donation jar and like a tub for you to put items that you're donating. And we did that so that no one really had to be around each other, and they would just drive by and like drop everything off just to like keep distance from everyone so no one felt worried about it, I guess.
Gwen, take me through the specifics once again for this Saturday as far as time, location, and run through those needs for me.
Okay, so it is at the Ronald O. Thomas Dog Park, and it is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and people are welcome to drive by and drop off any donations that are on the list or monetary donations. And the items that are needed are garden hoses, dish soap, bleach, laundry detergent, dog and cat toys and kitten and puppy soft food.
And don't forget, you can find all that information that Gwen just gave us on the SUK Humane Society Facebook page as well. Gwen, normally this is where I would wish you the best of luck, but you clearly do not need it with your organizational skills and the way that you've affected this community. I know it's going to be a rousing success. Is Uno still with you there by the computer?
He is not.
Okay. Oh, he figured he got his time on the KOAM morning news and he took off. Please,
Yes.
please tell Uno a big good morning from all of us here at the station.
All right, I will.
Gwen Smalley, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll have more KOAM morning news for you right after this. Great looking Friday, great looking weekend. We're going to be in the mid-70s today with plenty of sunshine. Do be careful if you take off early because we are putting up with some patchy fog right now. As we transition into Friday night / Saturday morning in the low 50s. Can't beat it for November. 70s on Saturday and Sunday. Big development's going to be Monday night into Tuesday. Thunderstorms followed by a cold front. Back right after this.
Vote counting in the presidential race enters a fourth day. We'll have the latest from the key battleground states. Plus, a pedestrian dies overnight on I-44 in Joplin, and details on an arrest in the case of a missing Joplin girl.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News at 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, we're going to look at the Labor Department's latest jobs report. Many are coping with election uncertainty by stuffing their face. For her, something to talk about. We're asking what your stress-eating food of choice is. Be sure to participate in our KOAM Insta poll. Just visit KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Don't stress out about the fog. Just take it slow. That's a live look outside of Television City. Usually about this time, we see the skies beginning to lighten a little bit, but now all you see right there is the flagpole and even the lights on it shrouded. Our visibility is decreasing on this Friday morning. We're down to 2 miles in Oswego, less than 2 miles in Parsons. Southwest Missouri, those numbers are going to get worse, but we're already seeing it thicken up there in southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma. Freeman Health System sky camera, 53 degrees. Reason we've got that fog, that humidity, look at that, 96%. Been a long time since we've had humidity that high at this time in the morning, as temperatures range from the high 40s into the low 50s. Sunrise on the bus stop forecast will be at 6:47, and eventually, after we burn this off, it's going to be absolutely delightful and sunny. Not going to be windy either. Second consecutive day, love to say that. Just a little south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we look at the entire Midwest and notice, very dry, very bland, with that system in the Pacific Northwest beginning to make a little bit of a push. Cloud cover emerges for the afternoon and evening hours, roll into Saturday on the dry side, back up into the 70s. And so we're just in store for a delightful November weekend. Big developments going to be Monday night into Tuesday. Not only thunderstorm activity, but then a cold front on Tuesday that'll drop us about 20 degrees during the course of the morning and afternoon hours.
All right. Keep our eye on that, that's for sure.
Yeah, enjoy the weekend.
Meantime,
Let the Skywatch Weather Center worry about that. Everybody else get out and enjoy a marvelous Friday and weekend.
yeah, and it sounds like most of Sunday is going to be great too.
Yeah, Sunday will be fine.
All right, sounds good. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, Americans are still waiting to learn the winner of the presidential election. Ballot counting continues in several key states. Margins in Arizona and Nevada remain razor thin, while President Trump's leading in Pennsylvania has been slipping. And just this morning, Joe Biden took the lead in Georgia, but the vote count is incredibly close. In his first address since election night, the president again made claims about mail-in ballots and alleged voter fraud without giving evidence. Democratic challenger Joe Biden called for every vote to be counted and expressed continued confidence he would win. New this morning, a pedestrian is dead after being hit by a semi in Joplin overnight. According to police, it happened on I-44 a little before midnight. The semi hit the person in the eastbound lane near exit 6. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene. There's no word yet on the person's identity or how the wreck happened. Newton County Sheriff's Office is investigating, and they're expected to release more information later today. Well, some scary moments for a pilot in Missouri. His plane crashed into a tree yesterday morning. You can see the small plane stuck upright in the trees in Lincoln County. The 78-year-old pilot was able to make his way onto a tree branch and waited for rescuers. It took 2 hours for crews to get him down safely. He was not hurt in the crash. Authorities are not yet saying what caused the crash. Authorities make an arrest after a missing Joplin teen is found safe in another state. Police in the city of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, say they've arrested a 19-year-old man in connection to the Leora Hardy case. 14-year-old Leora Hardy had been missing since September 17th. They say the 19-year-old man traveled to Joplin in September to pick up Hardy and then drove back to Wisconsin. Charges against him could be filed soon. Hardy was brought back to Joplin and reunited with her family on Tuesday. The Joplin chapter of the RISE Coalition paid for her plane ticket back.
When it was brought to our attention that there was a young girl that really had been found and needed to be reunited with her family, we offered to expedite that facilitation to get that child reunited with safe family members.
Joplin police would not comment on the arrest, and police in Wisconsin say the 19-year-old could be charged soon. He is being held in the Wakusu County Jail. Jasper County Health Department reports 2 more COVID-19 deaths. The patients were a man in his 70s and a woman in her 80s. This brings the total number of deaths in Jasper County to 61. The Joplin Health Department reports its 38th COVID-19 related death. They say it was a 56-year-old man. Oklahoma has set COVID-19 hospitalization records twice this week. The state's down slightly in the last 24 hours to 1,025, and the state is elevating Oklahoma County in the hospital surge plan. Now, Barry Mangold spoke to hospital officials on what this means for those needing medical care.
What we've seen over the last several weeks are a rapid escalation of hospitalized patients.
We can only take care of a certain volume of patients as we continue to go throughout the winter months.
COVID-19 inside Oklahoma County hospitals has reached a new level, according to the state health department's surge plan. That's because 20% or more of all staffed beds in the county have been filled with COVID-positive patients for 4 days now. Patty Davis with the Oklahoma Hospital Association says more patients are having to be transferred to different facilities to find open beds.
Hospitals, I will tell you, have never worked together better than they are right now.
One step hospitals can take to make space is suspending non-emergency surgeries, which Carrie Bayer with Integra says they want to avoid.
We don't want to have to not be able to diagnose someone's cancer or do a procedure because we want to take care of all of our community members.
Governor Kevin Stitt's office says they're working with hospitals and encourage everyone to practice CDC guidelines like wearing a mask.
Otherwise, this is going to continue to spread in Oklahoma. You create a real strain on our healthcare system.
Now, one thing health officials want to emphasize, do not avoid going to the hospital. There is space and medical staff will be prepared to help if you need medical attention. Halloween fright did some good this year. Wolfman's House of Screams donated $300 and canned goods to Crosslines Ministry in Joplin. Haunted House raised the money during the Halloween season. The money was raised in honor of Spencer Nicodemus, who died in an accident at Joplin High School.
This is something that we just have now. It's just an annual event that we do for Nico Night in his memory. So when you walk into our spook house, we actually have a memory. The first room that you walk into, it's our memory room, and we have a picture of Spencer there for his memory.
Wolfman's has been doing the fundraiser now for 3 years. It's 6:07.
Fresh air forecast with temperatures up into the mid-70s later on. Be careful though if you got to take off early, because we are having to tolerate some patchy fog this morning. After we get rid of that, sunny skies, south breeze, little cloud cover originates for the afternoon and evening, but still able to maintain 50s overnight into Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, both in the 70s. Don't worry about the thunderstorms really kicking in until Monday night into Tuesday morning.
That's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, pandemic migraines.
The pandemic has become a big headache for many of us, literally. I'm Laura Podesta with what doctors say you can do to get some relief.
Plus, Crawford County officials address COVID-19 concerns among the business community. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, the Labor Department will release its October jobs report. Analysts expect a little more than 500,000 jobs added last month and for the unemployment rate to dip slightly from its current rate of 7.9%. But there is concern that rising coronavirus cases could lead to new lockdowns and new job losses this winter. The Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce and Crawford County health officials hosted a Facebook Live yesterday where they addressed COVID-19 concerns among the local business community, which is preparing for the holiday shopping season. KOAM's Mike Mahoney was at the meeting and also spoke to a local business owner who tuned in.
One of Pittsburgh's newer restaurants, Toast, has been able to succeed during the pandemic, but there are times when things are tough.
We still have days where you're slow and you don't know if that's because numbers have gone up or if it's just that time of year or what.
Toast owner Heather Horton was one of many Pittsburgh business owners who tuned into Thursday's Facebook Live hosted by the Crawford County Health Department and the Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce. The purpose of the broadcast was to answer coronavirus questions and concerns from the business community as the holiday shopping season approaches.
We've seen businesses, several in the community, that have had to shut down, not because we shut them down, but because they didn't have the employees to run their store. And that's 2 weeks out of, with isolation and quarantine, that's 2 weeks of closure, and in the Christmas season.
Crawford County's health officers made it clear that shutting down a local business was the last thing they wanted to do. But they also made it clear that they need all local businesses to play by the pandemic rules for their safety and the community's safety. The health department and the chamber said they've received multiple complaints from local businesses who are losing customers to competitors who aren't taking COVID-19 regulations seriously. That's something Heather can relate with.
It is harder when you see them doing, things that where, the state has told us what we should be doing. And I feel like if you're going to follow KDA rules, why wouldn't you follow other mandates that have come across through the state?
Although many topics were addressed, the biggest takeaways from the Facebook Live were the importance of mask wearing in local businesses and their following of other safety guidelines, especially during the holiday season. In Pittsburgh, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
The names of businesses asking questions at the Facebook Live were kept anonymous so business owners could ask just about anything COVID-related without being embarrassed. Peloton bikes remain a hot commodity as Americans ditch the gym. The company reported a sales growth of 232% last quarter. However, shares of the bike maker fell after hours because it expects shipments and supply constraints to be stressed for the foreseeable future. That's it for Money Watch. Here's Michael with today's Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. On the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll asking if the election has you a little stressed out, what's your go-to stress-eating food of choice? We'll pick back up with Becky Mingarelli, who says she likes something salty like potato chips, then sit and mindlessly eat most of the bag, and then stress out about how many chips I ate. Donald L. Sharp, I like this one. My daughter's Halloween candy. Just in time was Halloween for the election stress. John Trebian says, all foods. Trump 2020, good morning, America. We say good morning, John. Merle Bass, I don't think this is going to happen. As the Marxist utopia inches closer, family pets will be on the menu. Take comfort in that. I don't think that'll happen. Rocky Cunningham, he goes with barley and hops. I'm not a chef. I have no idea what combination that would be found in. You know, Erwin? No idea. Tanya? Barley and you got me, Rocky. Anyway, on the KOAM Now Insta poll this morning, you go to KOAMNewsNow.com, vote. Yes, thank you. Something sweet right now winning our poll with 63% of the vote, followed by something salty. And we were just talking about the potato chips there. Let us know what you think. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, and we are joined this morning by two very special guests, Katie Sweezy and Suki Fields, and I want to talk to you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, first of all. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I understand Vet Links, the organization, this is going to be a pretty special event tomorrow, and it's all based around Katie, what's in your hands. So can you sort of explain what you're holding and why?
Well, I'm holding a quilt donated to an organization that I volunteer for called vetlinks.org. And Suki's been so gracious to donate this quilt to our organization so that we can accept donations and give this quilt away as a raffle. So we're going to be, we've set up a raffle and we're selling tickets for $10, and all of the proceeds are going to vetlinks.org.
Suki, can you explain to me, first of all, this is a gorgeous, are you able to hold it up just so we can fully see that? That's incredible. I'm curious, Suki, what made you want to do this? Have you been making quilts for a long time, and I guess why Vetlinks?
I've been quilting for about 11 years since I belong to Little Balkans Quilt Guild, and they do a donation of a quilt of honors every year to all the veterans as possible as they can, and to have an appreciation for all the veterans that are saving us.
Beautiful. Well, Katie, can you explain a little bit more about Vetlinks? Because people might not be familiar with what you guys do.
So we raise money for veterans and their caregivers and their families that are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, and substance abuse. And what we do is we provide a lot of times emergency needs that come, whether it's housing, temporary housing, or we've had situations where we've helped veterans with funding to get their service dogs licensed, and so we just any need that veterans have where there's a shortfall with the Veterans Administration, we come in and we take care of a lot of times, like I said, emergency needs.
How have those services you guys provide maybe changed, or maybe zeroed in on one or two things in particular over the course of this year, or have they at all?
Yes, if you go to our website, vetlinks.org, we've got an annual newsletter out, and it details actually all of the needs since our organization started. We detail all of the veterans that we've helped and served, and we are a nationwide organization. So, but we have a lot of focus in the Southeast Kansas area. So.
Awesome. Well, Suki, do you plan on making another quilt like this? Because this is, how long did this take you, I guess is the real question.
I think this one took about 2 weeks because I was in a short time and I wanted to donate it to Vetlinks so they can have a raffle out to get funding so they can help with the caregiver and the veterans.
2 weeks?
Yes. I was in a hurry.
Unbelievable. Well, that's super cool. We appreciate both of you joining us this morning. We're going to have all the information about tomorrow's event on our website at koamnewsnow.com. Just go to our morning show page. We'll have the Vetlinks link on there. We'll also have information. It's 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. tomorrow. Is that correct, Katie?
Yeah, and Jesse, also, if folks want to donate, they're not going to be at the mall between 11 and 5, or I'm sorry, it's 11 and 3 tomorrow.
3,
They
okay.
can go to our website or our social media Facebook page, vetlinks.org, and make a donation through that, and we will send this quilt anywhere to any veteran or any individual that wins the actual quilt. So we can put it in the mail. So.
Well, thank you for clarifying that info.
Yep.
We'll make sure that is all correct on our website, and we will be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the coronavirus pandemic is a big headache for many of us, literally. Neurologists around the country are seeing more patients complaining about worse migraines from this unprecedented time in our country. Laura Podesta has more.
The pandemic has meant big changes for Vicky Lavolsi. She's had to teach her 4th grade class from home with her own children also learning virtually.
My husband leaves, he's working during the pandemic, so I've been just challenging this all on my own from 6 in the morning till 6 at night.
Vicky suffers from migraines and her debilitating headaches have been increasing.
Stress is a huge trigger for me. I have had a migraine almost every day since we've started back to work, and it just stays here.
Neurologists around the country report more patients complaining of worsening migraines and headaches during the pandemic. Dr. Catherine Hamilton, director of the Penn Headache Program, says stress is just one factor.
Also, just change in routine. The migraine brain likes things to be stable, regular. With the pandemic, things are thrown up in the air, like getting your regular sleep schedule, regular exercise.
If you're getting more migraines, you may also want to take a close look at your work from home environment.
There's certainly increased screen time, and that can be a big migraine trigger. And being on a laptop all day can cause increased muscle tension in the neck and shoulders, which can cause tension headaches or can trigger migraines.
Dr. Hamilton recommends finding ways to manage stress, like practicing mindfulness. Vicky's been doing her best to try to unwind when she can.
Enjoying nature is one of my coping mechanisms. Getting outside has really helped me, and it takes me away from all those stressors.
She says Botox treatments and neck exercises are also working to lessen her migraines. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
And doctors say patients may also be dealing with more migraines because typical treatments that require appointments, such as acupuncture and physical therapy, have also been interrupted in the pandemic. Well, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration will soon consider whether to approve a new Alzheimer's drug. The agency's Peripheral and Central Nervous System Drugs Advisory Committee will meet today to discuss an experimental treatment for early Alzheimer's. Aducanumab would be the first new Alzheimer's drug in almost 2 decades. The committee is expected to decide whether to recommend the FDA approve it or not. The Alzheimer's Association supports its approval. If approved, aducanumab would become the first immunotherapy to reduce the clinical decline of Alzheimer's disease. That's wonderful. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
The fresh air forecast lifts us up into the mid-70s with a whole lot of sunshine. Be careful though, we've got early morning patchy fog that we're going to have to tolerate till about 8 o'clock this morning. 70s as we head into the weekend. Back right after this.
Vote counting in the presidential race enters a 4th day. We'll have the latest from the key battleground states. Plus, a pedestrian dies overnight on I-44 in Joplin, and details on an arrest in the case of a missing Joplin girl.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the latest as coronavirus cases continue to surge nationwide. And something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We're asking what your stress-eating food of choice is. But first, a check on your forecast.
It's a scene more fit for Halloween than it is the week after Halloween. Look at that fog coming out outside the mothership right there. Take it nice and slow this morning because it's going to last for a couple more hours. Give you an indicator of what we're looking at visibility-wise as the numbers continue to drop. We're now down to nil in Girard, less than half a mile in Independence and Sedan. And while our numbers do look pretty positive in southwest Missouri, those are going to drop here as the fog moves from the west and gets thicker in the east. Freeman Health System sky camera starting to get a little bit shrouded right there. 53 degrees is where we stand, and we can actually blame all this on that higher humidity than what we've had past couple of days, all the way at 96%. Temperatures in the high 40s to mid 50s, and sunrise going to be a little bit hard to see some early sunshine, but it'll be here in about 16 minutes over Joplin. Other than the fog, should be a real nice start for the kiddos. This is the Skywatch Storm Tracker, has just a little bit of cloud cover above that fog, but we're going to get plenty of sunshine and end up today in the mid-70s. Another delightful November day, and we're able to continue that trend into the weekend. Let's roll 70s as well on Saturday and Sunday. Don't let those rain percentages on Sunday slow anything down that you're going to do during the daytime. Big things going to be Monday night into Tuesday. Thunderstorm activity to begin with, and then Tuesday, we've got a cold front that's going to drop us about 20 to 25 degrees from the morning into the afternoon.
All right. Good temperatures today. We'll take it.
Beautiful
Good temperatures this
be
whole
careful.
weekend.
Early start, a lot of room between you and other drivers. Regular beams, not high beams.
How long do you think this fog is
I'm gonna say it's gonna hold on the far east until 9. I'm thinking really about 8 we begin to break in earnest.
Okay. So your whole morning commute, pretty much. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, Americans are still waiting to learn the winner of the presidential election. Ballot counting continues in several key states. Margins in Arizona and Nevada remain razor thin, while President Trump's lead in Pennsylvania has been slipping. And just this morning, Joe Biden took the lead in Georgia. but the vote count there is incredibly close. In his first address since the election, the president again made claims about mail-in ballots and alleged voter fraud. Democratic challenger Joe Biden called for every vote to be counted and expressed continued confidence that he would win. Well, new this morning, a pedestrian is dead after being hit by a semi in Joplin overnight. According to police, it happened on I-44 a little before midnight. The semi hit the person in the eastbound lane near exit 6. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene. There's no word yet on the person's identity or how the wreck happened. Newton County Sheriff's Office is investigating. They're expected to release more information later today. Well, police make an arrest in connection to the Leora Hardy missing persons case. 14-year-old Hardy was reported missing September 17th. She was missing for more than a month before she was found in Wisconsin. And now police have arrested a 19-year-old man in connection to the case. KOAM's Zach Dodge has the latest.
46 days. That's how long 14-year-old Leora Hardy was missing after disappearing from Joplin in September. Now, a month and a half later, she's safe at home and an arrest has been made. The city of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin police arrested a 19-year-old man from Oconomowoc on November 4th. The arrest came after Hardy turned herself into the police department on the 2nd, and investigators say they learned that the man had traveled more than 600 miles to Joplin in September to pick up Hardy and take her back to Wisconsin. Police say Hardy was with him until she went to the police station on the 2nd. She's now safe with family in Joplin, in part because of the RISE Coalition, which paid for a plane ticket to get her home.
When it was brought to our attention that there was a young girl that really had been found and needed to be reunited with her family, we offered to expedite that facilitation.
The RISE Coalition is a victim advocacy group that works with people who are sexually exploited and trafficked. But Shrag says they got involved because of their close relationship with Joplin police.
We had been part of assisting the police department to get them fed while they were doing the incredible search that they did for that missing person at that point in time. And so obviously that collaboration, we were alerted to the fact that she had been found and were able in that instance to say, hey, is this a way that we could assist?
Police are still investigating the case, and Joplin police declined the opportunity to comment on the arrest. Oconomowoc police say charges against the 19-year-old could be filed soon. In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Well, the 19-year-old is being held in the Waukesha County Jail. A Joplin investigator is currently in Wisconsin. He's expected to return to Joplin today. The number of coronavirus patients in Missouri hospitals has reached another record. The 7-day average for hospitalizations reached 1,672. That's 97 more than the previous record set a day earlier. In a news conference yesterday, Governor Parson urged Missourians to be safe and help slow the spread.
Politics has played an important role in how we've handled COVID-19. When people have tried to make the mask a political issue in the state of Missouri, all across the country. But I want to tell Missourians, that mask is very important. But if you're not doing the remainder of those things with social distancing, staying away from large gatherings, making sure you're not with somebody for 15 minutes, all of those things is really how we're going to get around the curve on the coronavirus.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Why Congress may consider a stimulus package before the end of the year. Plus, what's your stress-eating food of choice? We're going to let you weigh in our Something to Talk About, but first, at 6:37.
Patience with this fog will eventually pay off as we're going to have sunny skies and temperatures in the mid-70s here later on this afternoon.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, as Americans wait to see who will win the White House, the U.S. economy is still struggling because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This as the U.S. is dealing with massive unemployment and no guarantee a stimulus package will come anytime soon. John Lawrence reports.
The U.S. economy is showing some signs of recovering from a rough second quarter.
The housing sector has fully recovered from the downturn, supported in part by low mortgage interest rates. Business investment has also picked up.
But Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, says COVID-19 is still crushing the economy.
Overall economic activity remains well below its level before the pandemic, and the path ahead remains highly uncertain.
Roughly 751,000 Americans claimed first-time jobless benefits last week, according to the Labor Department.
Every state's got the same problem. Every state has massive unemployment claims that it's paid much more than they expected.
Powell says a stimulus package would benefit the country, especially those who have lost their jobs due to COVID-19.
I think we'll have a stronger recovery if we can just get at least some more fiscal support when it's appropriate, when it's appropriate and in the size Congress thinks it's appropriate. I do think that will likely.
But Americans are going to have to wait. Stimulus talks between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin are at a stalemate. But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says a stimulus bill might be considered before 2021. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
According to exit polls, the economy and the COVID-19 pandemic were top issues for voters. For 2 days in a row, new cases of the coronavirus have topped 100,000. At least 16 states have just broken hospitalization records. In Iowa, where the 7-day positivity rate has soared to nearly 40%, the head of the University of Iowa Health System says we are in danger of losing control of this pandemic. More than 8 years after the fatal shooting of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, the newly named Trayvon Martin Avenue has been unveiled in South Florida's Miami-Dade County. It leads to the high school the 11th grader attended. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael with our Morning Talker.
This morning on the KOM News Now Facebook page in our Insta poll, uncertainty can stress you out. And with the uncertainty that we've had this week, we're asking what's your stress-eating food of choice. We'll pick back up with Greg Horn, who goes with gummy bears and worms. That's a hard one to beat right there, Greg. Our own Will York says, I don't stress eat, but when I eat, it's usually a lot of meat. Rick Norton says, I'm not stressed. My doctor told me to remove all stress. I voted and did my part. You can't control it past that. Smile and have one of those things with barley and hops in it that we talked about earlier. Dave Sorick harkens back to good old Alfred E. Newman, the what me worry. Dave says he exemplified the angst of the 70s generation. Boomer, who will be the cultural icon of this post-Trump era, asking if it will be Karen. Good one, Dave. All right, KOAM News Now Insta poll. What's your stress-eating food of choice? Right now, 61% of you say you're going to go with something sweet, followed by 23% there with something salty. And we gave you 3 other choices to choose from, but those have been hands down our winners all morning long. Poll's still open. You go to komnewsnow.com/vote. Let us know what you think. We'll continue to update this. We're going to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero. Specialist Bob Fields joined the United States Army in 1968. He fought in Vietnam, where he received 2 Purple Hearts. His hometown, Miami, Oklahoma. We are proud to salute Bob Fields, our 4-state hero. And now to this morning's birthdays. Turning 1 year old this year, it's Ray Young. This one's coming with special love from Mom, Dad, Gramsy, Grumpy, Grandma, and Grandpa. Cash Kirkwood celebrating birthday number 2 this year. Cash is in Baxter Springs. And Carson Crozier turning 8 years old. Check out that catch. It's almost as big as he is. Carson is in Arcadia, Kansas. And, apparently his older brother Mason had a birthday yesterday. That's pretty cool. Also, a belated birthday wish going out to Ava Favelas, who's 11 years old. She had her cake and ate it too, all over her face. 11 in Erie, Kansas. Turning 12 this year in Altamont, Ethan Barr. Happy birthday. Going for the big ride. And Colby Matson celebrating his welcome into the teenage years. Columbus Titan there. Happy 13th birthday from Aunt Jennifer and Grandma Patty. Bailey Monty celebrating birthday number 18 this year. What a great picture there of Bailey in Parsons, Kansas. And here's another 18 in Fort Scott, Ashanti Green. Very pretty picture there. Happy birthday, Ashanti. And we thank you for everything you do, Miss Maggie Wyrick, who's now 28 years old. She's a kindergarten teacher at Humboldt Elementary. Looks like she's got her hands full of lots of little ones there. All right, and in Pittsburgh, Darren Triber. Darren is celebrating birthday number 36 this year. Happy birthday, Darren. Lindsay Guffey, celebrating birthday number 37. Beautiful family pic there. In Columbus, turning 40 this year, Lacey Branstein. Happy birthday, Lacey. Will Endicott, celebrating birthday number 41 this year in Neosho. Happy birthday, Will. And this one is for the big 5-0, going to Chip Herringbrook in Baxter Springs. With love from Rhonda, Peyton, Kenny, and Macy.
You drink your Mountain Dew. I'll take it from here.
Okay.
I put you on the spot there for a while, but I know you were parched, so we had to take care of that. Christina Westhoff, is that where we're at?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, look at Miss Christina. That is a gorgeous picture right there. Christina turning 60, and I think we got a spoiled one on our hands right there. Linda Sparks out at Integris Hospital in Miami. If you're out there and you have a chance to tell Miss Linda a happy 63rd birthday, do so. She's in Wyandotte. Judy Burns, a happy 70th birthday to you. Judy, she's celebrating in Erie. And Charles Parsons, happy 78th birthday to Charles. He is in McCune. Now, on to Girard. And that's where Mary Seneca is celebrating her 91st birthday. Speaking of little ones who I know that are gonna be spoiled. Just Mary there in the background. I know she's gonna take care of that little one. Mike and Jenny Bell Allen, their 50th anniversary. Congratulations to the Allens in Baxter Springs. And Ralph and Shirley Pierce, they're celebrating their 65th anniversary. Congratulations to the Pierces in Parsons. Sandy Krumsick, a happy birthday to you in Joplin. And Bernard Hess. Bernard's celebrating a birthday in Humboldt. So happy birthday and happy anniversary to all as we head into the weekend. Now, here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. I'm here to tell you about the KOAM Birthday Club and how you can sign up for it. Just go to our website, koamnewsnow.com. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Sign up today.
Live look outside of Television City. Yeah, it's that thick right now. We don't have any dense fog advisories, but I tell you what, we're not going to fool around with it because our visibility has dropped tremendously since the beginning of the show. Now below a mile throughout the majority of southeast Kansas. We're going to see these numbers in southwest Missouri drop as well as the morning progresses. Northeast Oklahoma, throw it in there with SEK as far as how bad it's gotten. Now above that, fog, a little bit of cloud cover as well, but going to remain dry. Now, when I say dry, you know, I'm talking about no rain, but I tell you what, it's damp, obviously, with that fog. Humidity sitting at 96%. Temperatures very mild, anywhere from high 40s that we see in Pittsburgh at 48 into the mid 50s, 54 in Carthage, and Chanute already up to 56 degrees on this Friday morning. The bus stop forecast, be mindful of the kids out there, especially with the fog, please. And then after we clear this off, plenty of sunshine and all the way up into the 60s by 9 a.m. Kind of mundane in the contiguous 48 minus the Pacific Northwest, and that's what we'll keep our eyes on as we progress into next week. But we've got a delightful weekend ahead. 70s on Saturday and Sunday. Anything we do, that's going to be late right there. This is going to be the big development. Monday night into Tuesday morning. Thunderstorm activity. And once we see these two numbers match, that's an indicator that the cold front is going to drop us about 20 degrees from Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon. A little rebound, though. I mean, we're talking about 60s and back in the 70s by the end of next week. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this. I get some of your comments here. Tanya and I were talking about the fact that Livewire, is it Mountain Dew that makes the Livewire? Yeah, so Livewire Mountain Dew evidently extremely popular around here. That's why I was out getting her a drink. All right, let's do some more comments here. All right, Tracy Monty Goodwin, she calls herself a professional stress eater. It's sweets and salty both. Oh, how about this? A Friday morning, we're sitting around here chomping at the bit thinking about food, and Tracy comes in with a little bacon, never hurts either. Oh my goodness. I know. Thank you, Tracy. And Pavlov's dog over here, that'd be me. Julie Coover Kent, good coffee. Strong, creamy, and a little sweet. That ain't bad either. Or, if you're like Tanya, you're craving Mountain Dew Livewire. Who knew? KOAM News Now Insta poll. Something Sweet's going to be our runaway winner right here at 60%, followed by Something Salty at 24%. Now, we're going to keep the poll open. We're going to continue to update our results when you flip over with us on Fox 14. If you haven't voted yet, just go to komnewsnow.com/vote. Tanya?
I tell you what, a little more on that live wire. I could tell when we had a lot of people working from home here because it was never out of stock. It was never empty in the soda machine.
You know what? That would be so interesting to do.
In the past 2 weeks, it's been out of stock
See what
every
was
other day.
stocked more when people were working from home.
Well, I can tell you, it was Mountain Dew's
That would have been
Livewire
a great social
soda.
experiment. Well, we know, we know Livewire.
Yeah. Well, somebody came back to work.
Are we trying to get sponsored?
They're drinking all my Livewire.
Are we not in a sponsorship here?
I don't know. It was my drink of choice, and now I had to switch.
Right at us. Help us out. Yeah. We want a Livewire.
It's mine. Yeah. I love my Mountain Dew. All right, here's a check of today's top headlines. The news you need to know before you head out the door. Americans are still waiting to learn the winner of the presidential election. Ballot counting continues in several key states. Margins in Arizona and Nevada remain razor thin, while President Trump's lead in Pennsylvania has been slipping. Just this morning, Joe Biden took the lead in Georgia, but the vote count remains incredibly close. In his first address since the election night, the president again made claims about mail-in ballots and alleged voter fraud without giving evidence. One pedestrian is dead after being hit by a semi in Joplin overnight. According to police, it happened on I-44 a little before midnight. The semi hit the person in the eastbound lane near exit 6. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene. There's no word yet on the person's identity or how the wreck happened. Newton County Sheriff's Office is investigating. They're expected to release more information later today. Newly reported coronavirus cases and hospitalizations reach a record one-day high in Oklahoma. Yesterday, the Oklahoma State Department of Health reported 2,101 new cases and 1,055 hospitalizations. Spike in cases has pushed Oklahoma City area hospitals into Tier 3 of its COVID-19 surge plan, which means hospitals there will request a catastrophic health emergency. The White House Coronavirus Task Force is calling on the state to test more people without symptoms to prevent further spread. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
In store for a beautiful Friday and a gorgeous weekend. Mid-70s today, low 70s for Saturday and Sunday. No really particular developments until Monday night. So get out and enjoy just a gorgeous early November in the 4 states.
Well, coming up today at noon, one of the easiest places to overspend is the supermarket. We're going to let you in on a few grocery store tricks up the trade.
Of course, you can flip on over to us to Fox 14. Mr. Irwin, what do we have?
Well, that story goes along with my stress eating tactics because I just go to the grocery store and I just do one lap and I'm good. But we got a lot going on Fox 14. We're talking to the Humane Society. We got a mosaic made of Rubik's Cubes, and we'll have our stress foods over there.
Winner, winner. I want everybody to have a wonderful Friday and a great, safe weekend. We'll do this all again on Monday morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.